So I guess I should start by saying that I never expected to be the black sheep, or at least not in my family. Not when I spent most of my life bending over backwards just to be seen. But somehow that's exactly where I ended up, labeled the unreliable, selfish one, the one who couldn't be trusted. Meanwhile, my sister? Oh, she was the golden child. Like, literally had my parents wrapped around her pinky. And I'm not even saying that in a bitter, woe is me kind of way. I mean it, this girl could set the entire kitchen on fire and my mom would say, at least she tried to make dinner. Meanwhile, if I so much as breathe wrong, it's, you're so careless, we can't trust you with anything. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm 28, I live alone in a small apartment in Denver. I've been working as a freelance UI designer for a few years now. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills and I love the freedom. My sister, Camilla, she's 32. Married. Corporate job. She lives in a big house with her husband and their matching golden retrievers or whatever. And our parents? Retired, conservative, super traditional, and low-key obsessed with appearances. They don't say it, but you know the type. Like, family reputation matters more than actual emotional connection. They've always said they wanted to pass things down fairly. Equal shares. No favorites. That was the line growing up. We'll take care of both of you equally. Blah blah blah. Lies. Absolute BS. Because when my dad got diagnosed with a heart condition late last year, that's when stuff started to change. Fast. Camilla stepped up, sure. She showed up to every doctor appointment, managed the finances when he got too tired, helped mom with the grocery runs. She did what a good daughter should do, no one's denying that. But behind the scenes, she was also planting little seeds. And I didn't realize it until it was too late. Like, I'd call to check in and my mom would sound cold. Weird. She'd say stuff like, well, Camilla said you've been so busy lately. Or, we just want to make sure you're not overwhelmed. You know, you have a history of being a little inconsistent. Girl, what? I'm literally the one who helped pay for Camilla's wedding dress when she was broke out of college. I loaned her money when her husband's business tanked for a minute. I've watched their dog. I've babysat their friends' kids when she was double booked. But I'm the selfish one? Nah, something was off. So I started digging. Lightly. Like, I wasn't trying to start drama. I just wanted to know what was being said about me. I asked my mom casually if I could help with dad's medical expenses and she flat out said, no, Camilla's handling all that. It's better that way. When I pushed, she goes, we just can't really risk giving you access to anything financial right now. Y'all, I swear I stopped breathing for a second. Risk? Me? What exactly were they scared of? That I'd run off to Vegas with a $300 pharmacy bill? Felt so personal. Like a slap in the face. And then it got worse. 2 weeks later, I visited for dinner. I brought dessert, hugged my dad, tried to help in the kitchen. I was doing my best to be chill, to be good, but the vibe was weird. Camilla was there, and the way she looked at me, girl, it was like I'd walked in wearing rags to the Met Gala. So we're sitting at the table and out of nowhere, she goes, have you found steady work yet? But mind you, she knows I'm a freelancer. I've told her I've got contracts lined up, I've shown her my portfolio. But she says it like I'm some struggling artist couch surfing and eating ramen out the packet. I said, yeah, I just wrapped a UI job for a startup in San Francisco and I've got another lined up next month. And this witch laughs. Then she says, just wondering. Mom and Dad were talking about the will and, we need to be practical about things. Practical? I froze. I looked at my mom and she wouldn't even look me in the eye. That's when I knew. They had already made decisions behind my back and I hadn't even been looped in. So after dinner, I pulled Mom aside. I asked straight up, did you change the will? She hesitated. Then she said the words that made my stomach drop. We love you, but Camilla's been so consistent, so present. You're just unpredictable. We can't risk giving you anything substantial right now. Like I was some reckless stranger off the street, not their daughter. And then I remembered something. Years ago, I had helped my dad with his estate planning software, like the actual program he used to file and track things. And I had kept the backups. Not to snoop, just tech habit. I'm a designer, so I save stuff. I didn't think they'd come in handy again. But listen, what I found changed everything. So yeah, I opened up the old estate planning files that I'd helped my dad organize years ago. It was on this external hard drive I hadn't touched in forever, just buried in a drawer under old chargers and that one broken wireless mouse I keep forgetting to toss out. At first, I didn't even know what I was looking for. Just anything to help me make sense of what the F was going on. Because one minute, I'm their daughter. The next, I'm too unpredictable to inherit anything. Like, huh? Anyway, I cracked open the docs and spreadsheets. Dated folders, legal forms, notes from the financial planner he'd been working with back then. Normal stuff. But then I saw something weird. There was a folder, newer than the others, titled Contingency Update. The last modified date? Literally from just 2 months ago. And here's the thing. I wasn't supposed to have access to this version. Not unless Dad had uploaded it to the shared folder we made together years back. But apparently he did. Whether he forgot or didn't think it mattered, who knows? I clicked inside and y'all, tell me why I see a breakdown of assets, real estate, stocks, the whole 9 yards. And under the final allocation plan, it had my name crossed out. Like fully crossed out. Under the old version, it was 50-50. Clean cut. As it should be. This new one? Camilla 90%. Me, discretionary. Potential $5,000 cap depending on need. Bro, $5,000. I had to reread it like 5 times because my brain legit thought it was a typo. Like maybe he meant 50K or something. But no, 5,000 bucks. That's the value they put on me after 28 years of loyalty, babysitting Camilla's bratty dog, organizing every single one of Dad's birthday parties since 2012, and calling Mom weekly even when she hit me with backhanded compliments every time. I wanted to scream. Then I started thinking, what the F happened between the old file and the new one? What was the story here? So I started piecing stuff together, dates, conversations, even texts from Mom that didn't make sense before. I remembered this one weird thing. A few months ago, Camilla called me out of nowhere asking if I'd ever had issues managing money. Super random. I laughed it off, said no. Why? She said something like, just wondering. You're so freelancy, it's hard to keep track sometimes. At the time, I brushed it off, but now I'm realizing that convo was part of the setup. She was planting concerns, trying to build a narrative. And well, she succeeded. Because from what I could tell, they truly believed I wasn't stable, that I'd blow through an inheritance, that I couldn't be trusted. But you know what sealed it? There was a PDF in the folder titled, Character Observations, Camilla's Notes. I'm not even joking. It was like a report she gave to our parents like she was a CIA informant or something. Inside, it listed stuff like, 2020 missed 2 family dinners, often speaks negatively about Mom's religious views, unwilling to share income sources, vague about finances, tends to isolate, potentially emotionally unstable. Like, are you kidding me? She was writing me up like I was some liability to the family name. Also, there were notes beside her comments from my dad. He wrote things like, concerning, need to follow up with her directly, and possibly reflect in trust planning. That's when I realized this wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a whole strategy, a campaign. My sister had gone full PR manager to assassinate my character and secure the bag. I slammed the laptop shut, heart pounding, vision blurry. I couldn't decide if I wanted to cry, throw up, or just pack a suitcase and move to another country. But here's the thing. I wasn't going to confront them yet. Not without a plan, not without leverage. So I started collecting. Screenshots, file backups, timeline of suspicious comments Camilla had made. I even had a voice recording of Mom once saying, Camilla's just more dependable. Not that we don't love you. Like, girl, that's already shade. I saved it. And then, just to really drive it home, I reached out to my godfather, my dad's old college buddy who used to work in estate law. He's retired now, lives in Arizona, but we've always been tight. I sent him some redacted files and asked, hypothetically, if someone found out their siblings sabotaged them to alter a will, what could they do? He called me back in less than 10 minutes. Said, if you have proof of coercion or manipulation of an elder regarding estate decisions, that's serious. That's challengeable in court. And boom. Just like that, I knew I had something. Now, was I planning to sue? Not yet. But I was planning to confront them, with the receipts in hand, and see how fast their tune would change when they realized I wasn't just the artsy, unreliable sister anymore. Fast forward 3 days later, my moment came. Camilla invited me to brunch, which is super rare. So I knew something was up. Alright, so I show up to this so-called sister brunch at this fancy cafe Camilla loves, the kind with $18 avocado toast and herbal tea that tastes like boiled anxiety. She's already seated when I walk in, wearing this perfectly pressed linen blazer and a smug little smile like she's the CEO of Morally Superior Inc. I sit down, she does that fake, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you thing, and for a second I play along. I'm chill. I'm sipping my oat milk latte, pretending I don't know she's been out here campaigning to get me disinherited. Then, like 5 minutes in, she hits me with, so I figured it was time we talked. Really talked. About Mom and Dad. About what's fair. Girl. The audacity. She goes on about how stressful it's been managing Dad's care, how much responsibility she's shouldered, and how I have drifted in recent years. I let her ramble, and when she finally pauses to sip her cucumber water or whatever, I just go, interesting. So you wrote a whole report about me being emotionally unstable and thought I wouldn't find out? Silence. Her eyes widen just a bit, not a full-on gasp, but enough to know she didn't see that coming. Then she quickly recomposes, tilts her head and does this fake laugh. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, we're doing the gaslight tango now? Bet. I pull out my phone, open the PDF she thought was buried in Dad's estate folder, and slide it across the table. She stares at it, doesn't touch it, doesn't blink. You snooped, she finally says. I go, nah, I helped Dad set that system up, like years ago. Guess he forgot to lock it. Oops. And then, get this, she goes full politician mode. Like suddenly, I'm the problem for finding the proof she planted. She says, you're proving my point right now. This is exactly the kind of erratic behavior that made them worry. Girl, I'm 2 seconds from tossing this entire charcuterie board across the room. I said, I'm erratic? Or am I just not easy to manipulate like you planned? Her face? Pure stone. She takes a deep breath and leans in like she's delivering the climax of some Netflix drama. Listen, I didn't want to have to do this, but you left them no choice. They were scared for you. And if this is about the money, I cut her off. This is about the lie, Camilla. You made me look like a liability just to get a bigger slice. You turned our own parents against me. She sighs like I'm the exhausting one, then says, "Fine. You want your cut? We'll figure something out. Just don't do anything stupid. Don't do anything stupid." That's what she said. Like she was the mob boss and I was some peasant trying to negotiate rent. I leaned in, calm, steady, and said, "Too late. I already talked to Dad's old lawyer, and he said if I challenged this thing with proof, you'd be in real trouble." Her face paled. No more smug smile. She tried to backpedal a little. Okay, maybe I overstepped and it wasn't meant to go this far, but it was too late. I told her I wasn't doing this over avocado toast. We were going to have a family meeting. All of us. No sneaky sister scripts, no filtered Camilla spin. I paid the bill and walked out while she sat there blinking like she just got hit with an emotional tax audit. Fast forward 2 days later, I get a call from my mom, and she's mad. Like not worried mad, embarrassed mad. She says, "I can't believe you're trying to tear this family apart." I say I'm not. Camilla already did that. I'm just bringing it to the light. She says, "You don't understand what we were trying to do." I say, "I understand exactly what you were trying to do. And now I'm giving you one chance to make it right before I bring in someone who'll make it legal." That shut her up. She says she'll discuss it with your father and hangs up. And for a full week after that, nothing. No texts, no calls, no updates. I was starting to think maybe they were going to stick to the script, pretend nothing happened, let the trust stay unfair and pray I'd let it go. But then, 1 week to the day after that brunch, Camilla shows up at my front door, wearing sunglasses like she's in the witness protection program, holding a Ziploc bag full of cash. No heads-up text. Just a knock, and there she is, oversized sunglasses, pressed coat, holding a literal Ziploc bag of cash like we're in a D deal or something. And for a second, I just stare at her through the peephole like, is this a joke? I open the door slowly. She doesn't say hi, doesn't even ask if she can come in, just holds up the bag like it speaks for itself and says, "Can we talk?" Now, I should have said no. Should have closed the door and told her to Venmo me like a normal person. But curiosity, and let's be honest, a tiny sprinkle of petty satisfaction, got the better of me. So I let her in. She walks past me like she owns the place, sits on my couch like we're besties about to watch Netflix, and sets the bag on the coffee table. I sit down across from her and go, "Are you seriously trying to bribe me with a Ziploc bag?" She rolls her eyes and says, "It's 10,000 in cash, untaxed, no paper trail. Like that's supposed to impress me." I said, "Cute, but you already told Mom and Dad I was too irresponsible to manage 5. She flinched at that, just slightly, then takes off the sunglasses, and that's when I saw it. She looked tired. Like dark circles under the eyes, lips chewed raw, hands shaking slightly. And for a tiny second I thought maybe she feels bad. But then she opens her mouth and kills it. I'm not here to rehash all that. I just want to make this go away. Quietly. No drama. You get your cut, I get peace, and nobody has to know. Bro, the fact that she thought that money was enough to erase the months of lies, gaslighting, and full-on character assassination? I literally laughed in her face. She snaps, "You don't get it. You don't have a husband. You don't have a mortgage. You don't have kids on the way. You don't understand what pressure looks like when it's not just about you." Pause. Kids. She hadn't told anyone she was pregnant. Not even our mom. But she blurted it out right then, and that's when everything clicked. The sudden interest in the will. The desperate push for control. The whole fake act of caring while rewriting the family legacy behind my back. I said, "So all this, slandering me, manipulating our parents, it was for your kid?" She didn't even deny it. She just said, "I did what I had to. You've always floated through life. You freelance, you bounce around, you never commit. Meanwhile, I've done everything right and I'm still drowning. I didn't have time to wait for them to split things evenly." And y'all, that hit me like a punch to the gut, because that was the moment I realized my sister didn't see me as her sister anymore. She saw me as a threat, a resource, a block on her path to comfort. So I said, "Camilla, I'm not your enemy, but you made me one." She started tearing up, whispering stuff like, "I didn't mean for it to go this far, and I just needed them to see reality." But whose reality, huh? Hers? The one where I'm this flaky mess who can't be trusted with an inheritance? Where my existence has to be justified? Nah, I wasn't having it. So I leaned forward, picked up the bag of cash, and said, "You can keep this. You need it more than I do." Her mouth opened in shock. I stood up, walked to the door, held it open. I told her, "I'm not taking your hush money, but you are going to sit down with Mom and Dad with me there and we're going to talk about the truth. No more lies. No more secret folders. And if you don't, then I will go legal." She didn't respond. She just grabbed the bag, stood up, and walked out the door. No goodbyes. And for the next 2 days, radio silence from everyone. Then finally, on a gray Saturday morning, Mom calls. Her voice is quiet, worn out. She says, "Your sister told us everything. We didn't know. We thought she was just helping. We didn't realize she twisted so much." And y'all, I didn't even feel vindicated. I just felt tired. I told her, "It's not just about the will. It's about how easy it was for you to believe I was the problem." There was a long pause. Then she whispered, "You're absolutely right." That was the first time she'd ever said that to me in my entire life. She said they were going to talk to a new estate lawyer, that the old file would be replaced, that both of us, me and Camilla, would be called in soon to discuss everything together with a mediator. And yeah, that sounded great. But I knew one thing for sure. This family, it would never go back to what it was. So after that call from Mom, things started shifting, but not in some big, magical hug-it-out kind of way. No one suddenly turned into the Brady Bunch. This wasn't some cheesy movie where everyone makes up over pancakes and promises to do better. It was awkward, quiet, tense, and low-key, kind of fake. Camilla didn't call. She didn't text. Nothing. After she walked out with her bride bag, it was like she disappeared into her perfect little suburban fog. Meanwhile, Mom and Dad started acting like they were ready to rebuild trust with me, but it was clear they were more scared of a legal blow-up than actually feeling sorry. Till I agreed to the meeting. We set it up in Dad's study, his favorite room in the house. Wood-paneled walls. That old leather chair he never let anyone else sit in. The whole vibe was very let's handle this like adults, but the air was thick with tension. You could feel it. I got there early, sat across from my parents, and watched as Camilla walked in 10 minutes late with this cold, blank look on her face. Like she'd trained herself not to feel anything. She sat down, crossed her legs, and didn't say a word. My dad opened with, "We've had time to reflect," he said. I think I let Camilla's words cloud my judgment. I didn't say anything. I just stared. Then he said, "We're changing the will. Back to 50-50. Cool. As it should have been. Camilla's face? Unreadable. No eye contact. No nod. Just that same cold corporate stare. Mom chimed in with her usual performative softness like, "We only wanted to protect the family, but we see now that we may have misunderstood things." May have? Girl, you practically labeled me the unreliable charity case. Till I nodded. 'Cause honestly, I didn't need groveling. I just needed closure. I needed my truth to be acknowledged. Then I said, "You know what hurt the most? That none of you thought to just talk to me. You let her rewrite my character based on what? Me missing 2 family dinners? Freelancing instead of climbing a corporate ladder." And to my surprise, Camilla finally spoke. She said, "I didn't think you'd fight back." My dad looked confused, like he was only now starting to realize just how far she'd gone. Camilla leaned forward and said, "I was exhausted. I was scared. And yeah, I was desperate. I thought if I looked like the only responsible one, they'd take care of me. But you weren't supposed to notice." She looked at me, and I didn't expect you to have proof. Oof. That right there? That was the most honest thing she'd said in years. But it didn't make it better. I said, "You didn't just gamble with my inheritance, you gambled with our entire relationship." "I know," she replies. So yeah, we signed papers. I met with the new estate attorney later that week. The files were updated. 50-50. But here's the wild part. Even after all that, I didn't feel better. I thought I would. I thought getting what I was owed would feel like a win. Like the story was over and I'd ride off into the sunset with my dignity and a check. But no, because what I realized, money can't fix what people really believe about you. The damage was done. After the meeting, I drove home in silence. No music. Just me, the hum of the engine, and this aching emptiness in my chest. Like I'd finally won a battle I never wanted to fight in the first place. A few days later, Mom texted. Said she wanted to have a girls' night soon, just the 3 of us. I left it on read. 'Cause you don't get to exile someone from the family circle and then invite them back for manicures and movie night like nothing happened. And Camilla? She sent a message a week later. One line. "Hope we can put this behind us." I didn't respond. I just needed her to know I saw her. All of her. And that I wouldn't forget. So, here's where it all shifted. Not in some movie-style epiphany moment, but in the slow, quiet stillness that follows a storm. It was about a week after the meeting. Papers were signed. Everything was legally fair again. Technically, the fight was over. And yet, I still didn't feel like I had my family back. 'Cause how do you go back to hugging people who looked you in the eye and decided you were less than? You don't. You move differently. You set boundaries. You stop begging for love that only comes with conditions. So that's what I did. And when my mom sent another "let's all do brunch this weekend" group text, I hit her with a respectful, "Maybe another time. I need space right now." She replied, "Okay, let me know when you're ready." But here's the thing, I wasn't sure I'd ever be ready. 'Cause the truth was, I didn't need to force myself back into a version of the family that didn't exist anymore. And maybe that sounds cold, but it's not. It's clarity. 'Cause once you stop performing for people who never clapped for you in the first place, you finally get to be free. I started investing in myself again. Not just with money, though yeah, I did finally upgrade my laptop and got a real office chair that doesn't squeak every time I breathe, but with energy. I started therapy. And let me tell you, first session, I sobbed so hard I gave myself a headache. Because I hadn't even realized how deep the betrayal went. How much of my identity had been shaped by constantly trying to prove I wasn't the flaky one, the selfish one, the emotional one. Turns out I'd been running a whole marathon just trying to earn basic respect from people who should have given it unconditionally. My therapist said something in that first session that stuck with me. Sometimes the most painful betrayals don't come from people treating you badly. They come from people treating you like you're invisible. So yeah, I kept going. Every week. Sometimes twice a week. I unpacked everything, the favoritism, the microjudgments, the way I kept minimizing my own feelings just to keep the peace. And slowly, I started building something that felt more real than anything my family had ever given me. Self-trust. Y'all, I didn't realize how much I'd lost that until I started getting it back. Meanwhile, Camilla kept trying. Little check-ins, little thinking of you messages. I think part of her expected me to just bounce back, to be the cool sister who laughs things off like always. But she never once said, "I'm sorry," not without some weird justification tied to it. So I kept my distance. My friendship started improving too. I didn't even notice how much the family stress had bled into everything else, how I'd been holding back in conversations, showing up half present, always drained. Now, I was showing up with real energy. I was laughing louder, saying no without a 3-paragraph apology, choosing people who chose me back. One night, I was out with my friend Kayla and we were talking about family stuff. I gave her the short version, no need to drag her through the full soap opera, and she just looked at me and said, "You know what? You don't owe them closeness. You owe yourself peace." That line became my compass. 6 months later, I'm living a life that finally feels like mine. I got a new apartment. Nothing crazy, but it's bright and quiet and mine. I've taken on some bigger clients for work. I even booked a solo trip to Lisbon, because why not? Camilla had her baby 2 weeks ago. I got a mass text with the announcement. Cute picture. Generic message. I didn't reply. And I'm okay with that. Maybe someday we'll talk again. Maybe there'll be some version of reconciliation that doesn't feel forced or fake. But for now, this is what peace looks like. So here's how it ended. No cinematic background music. No poetic monologues. A week after her baby was born, I got another message from her. It was longer this time. She said, "I know I've messed up more than you'll probably ever say out loud, and I know I tried to fix it the wrong way. With money. With excuses. You didn't deserve that. I don't know how to undo it, but I do know I lost something I can't buy back. I hope you're okay. I hope you're free of me at least." And I read it. Twice. Then I put my phone down, walked to the kitchen, poured myself some tea, and stood in the silence of my apartment with this weird ache in my chest. I didn't respond once again. Not because I didn't believe she meant it, but because I had already left that version of me behind. I wasn't her anymore. So I let the message sit in my inbox. And then something wild happened. My mom called me again. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. Her voice was softer this time. She said, "I've been thinking a lot. About everything. About how easy it was for me to believe the worst about you." I didn't interrupt, she kept going. "I want you to know I don't blame you for keeping your distance. And I don't expect anything. I just want you to know I'm sorry." I just said, "Thank you. That means a lot." 'Cause it did. Even if it came late. Even if it didn't undo anything. Even if she never fully understood the weight of what had happened. Truth is, sometimes healing doesn't look like fixing relationships. Sometimes it looks like recognizing that people are limited. That they can only meet you at the depth they've met themselves. You can swim deeper. You can grow further. You can step back, step away, and still carry your peace with you. And you don't have to feel guilty for it. Ever. So where am I now? Still freelancing. Still loving it. My client list is growing, and I finally launched my own little design course on Skillshare, which I've been procrastinating on for forever. I also signed a lease for a tiny studio space, not because I needed one, but because I wanted one. 'Cause I deserve to take up space. Physically. Emotionally. Creatively. I took that trip to Lisbon. Sat by the river. Ate my weight in pastéis de nata. Watched the sunset and realized I was finally fully on my own terms. So if you're reading this and you've ever been the black sheep, the scapegoat, the sibling who somehow ended up cast as the villain in someone else's script, let me say this loud. You are not broken. You are not less. You are not whatever small, twisted version of you they made up to feel better about themselves. You are worthy. Period. Even if they don't see it. And even if they never will.